Welcome back to the AM Symposium, Winter Solstice 2017. And this solstice event is running from the winter solstice all the way to January 6th, which happens to be the wind goddess Hulda's special day. So I have with us today one of my very dear friends. I think that everyone on the solstice event is one of my very dear friends, and people who have helped launch this book, Winds of Spirit, and have very much of a significant part and a role to play in my life. And this next woman, Kelle Sutliff, and I were in a book together. And that's how we met, and we became fast friends, and I've been to her home, met her family, it's all great. Kelle is a psychic medium, author, former radio show host, and psychic investigator. Ooh. Her book, Listen Up, The Other Side is Talking, has won international acclaim, Mom's Choice, and Reader's Favorite Book Awards. She co-authored with Jack and me in Pearls of Wisdom, 30 Inspirational Ideas to Live Your Best Life Now. Kelle has consulted with law enforcement, private detectives, and families to help in finding the missing. She does individual readings and lives in Boston, Mass. With her family. So how are you today, Kelle, and welcome.
I am good. I'm good. I'm thrilled. So happy for you and this opportunity with your book. And you know what? It's just an exciting time, and it's exciting time to have things that are new and fresh, and people need to push the refresh button, you know, and people are excited for new authors like yourself and the energy that we're in. And it's actually, you know, it's a really good, happy, energetic space that we're all in. So your book and your opportunities for things couldn't be a better timing, Renee.
Well, and a little backstory on that. For years, you know, there was a group of us, and there was that 30 authors in there. And, you know, we were all, sorry for any old timers who are on this call or seeing this call, but we were all like waiting for these other people to get off the stage. So it was our turn.
Right. I know. We got to raise our hand, huh? We got to raise our hand.
And so we waited.
Mm-hmm.
And you're one of those people too. So Kelle, has our time come?
It has. And I think, you know what, there's a beautiful new voice of healers and psychics and people who have this kind of essence of kind of entrepreneurship, okay, with our world. And it's all about, you know what, launching and starting new and kind of new voices that are ready to be heard. And I think, Renee, you and I fall into that, and other people who are, you know, standing up to say, hey, here's my voice. What do you think of this thought? And I think that's an important piece of the space that we've earned. Okay. And let's say earned, because we all have earned it over the years, and the things we've done and the groups we've done and the small projects we've done to let it bloom. But it's an exciting piece because people get it. They're starting to understand it. They're starting to get it. When I look back on I look at my world 15 years ago, and when I first started reading as a psychic medium, and, you know, no one raised their hand to be a psychic medium. You know what I mean? Like the last thing you'd want to be, or a shaman, right? When I grew up, a shaman, right? Nada, you know, so non-confront, it just doesn't work in our world. So when you look back 15 years ago, like, you know, the only movie that was even correlated to my world was the movie Sixth Sense. You know what I mean? When you hear the quote, I see dead people. And people always thought it was, you know, that was the world, and it was spooky and it was scary and that kind of thing, world with it. But the beauty of it is that, you know what, we're more than that. And thank goodness for programming and shows and awareness, and the veil has thinned so much so that people can accept more of our work. And it's really a regression to a progression, because back in the day, we're talking back thousands of years ago, you know, psychics, shamans, people were valued, right, for the work that they did to help, to heal, to say, okay, what are the crops going to be this year? What are they going to, you know, how are the lands going to be? How is, were we going to go to war? What is the, many, many healers and psychics were used in that capacity. Where today, you know what, we've progressed in the sense where people are used today, like myself or yourself or people in our type of healing world, where people accept and they use this as like an alternative therapy. All right. And even when I think back, when I first moved to Boston 24 years ago, I was selling insurance, and people would often call and say, do you accept Reiki for services for payment for Blue Cross Blue Shield? Do you accept this? And I'd have to say no, but today they do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we've progressed. And so our energy and the things we have worked with in the healing world and healing aspects of things, because, when you go for a psychic reading, it's a spiritual event, and that's how I look at it. It's your guides, it's your loved ones all coming through to make sure that you have, information to guide you as a map. And you know what? It's a collaborative. And I think that's how people oftentimes can look. It's not just like, hey, who am I going to date? Or, how is my business going to grow? Which that's important pieces to help you. But it's also, it's a spiritual piece to it. And I think that's because we're becoming as a society, we hope we're becoming as a society more as a spiritual nation, more as a spiritual basis of world, of caring, of content, of kind of out with the old and with the new energy, so that we can all grow as a nation, as a whole of people. And you're just as much a part of that also for the work that you do.
You're so right about this. Who signs up to be a shaman? I made a post about how we, I get a call on Saturday, somebody needed me. They were driving out from LA to see me. And, there goes the play day, and
Mm-hmm.
so who really in their right mind would sign up for that? And I think that's an important point about, and you can talk to the people who are listening about how do they recognize their gifts and how do they respond to the call? Because, if my job, when you say I see dead people, I'm there like, oh my God, if I saw a dead person, I'd be heading for the hills. So,
Sure.
What about somebody who has a child who sees somebody or they are seeing spirits that they don't know what to do with? How do you coach them?
It's really interesting because I'm not a big component of people when they have a ghost in their home, or they have an energy in their home that's bothering them, or my big thing is that hello. My big thing, my big thing is this: is that does that ghost or does that energy pay the mortgage of your house? They lived there a long time ago. They they're not making payments on that mortgage, so they have no right to be there. So it's important too is that when people say to me, I live in a place or space and this is affected, how do I get rid of it? You have to clear your energy. You have to clear your space. You have to look at your home as holy. Okay. Back in the day when you and I, my parents would buy a home, what did they do? The first thing they did is they called the priest, they called the minister, they called, the pastor, whomever, to come over and bless it. We forget to bless our homes. We move from one place to the next, and that energy is still there. So if you don't clear it, if you don't make it your own, it can become somebody else's. So when, so a big component is like, making sure you clear your space, clear your energy, clear who, where you live, keeping things holy. But it's also to the space too, is that because, our world is so crazy and we don't protect our boundaries and we don't ground our energy and we don't keep our little protection bubble around us, that, we get sucked in. And, oftentimes children, because they're so open, can get sucked in, okay, and get taken advantage, where an energy can hang out with them. I always say to people, guess what? You own your kids' energy until they get married. So you own their energy. You birthed them, you created them, you own it. So as children, you have to protect it. Like you would say to your child that, okay, you look left, you look right before you cross the street. Same thing is that, as parents, we need to look left, right about the energy we put our children in. And if it's interfering, then, you pull that child back and you don't let that happen. So you can actually go into a space for your child or for your home to say, hey, out of here. You know what I mean? My children will tell you plenty of times when I've done readings, if I'm not in my office in my home, hey mom, you need to clear the house. We just saw something. Or, you know, and they'll say, mom, did you clear the house? You know what I mean? Because they'll feel it, they'll see it. And then you have to say, okay, you're gone, out of here. You can't stay anymore. So it's very much important that, you know what, we have to look at spirit and energy as, you know what, there's some that linger and there's some that shouldn't linger. And the ones that linger sometimes are our loved ones that want to come close to us or give us signs and symbols about our work, about our lives. And that's okay, because that could be your mom coming through, your dad coming through to give you a message or to make you feel comfort. But we all know when, you know what, there's an energy that's not so healthy. We can feel it. And it's just like when you go to buy a house, right? And you go to look into a home. Could be the best thing ever. It's got the pool, it's got all the amenities you want, but you walk in, you're like, ugh, this feels horrible. Why don't I like this house? Because you know why? There could have been a negative energy in there. There could have been a divorce that's happened. There could have been all that residual of hate or anger or space. And you know what? That's why it doesn't feel right for you. So you don't purchase it. But you know what? It's important to always, you know, spend time alone to ground your space, your energy, to keep things in place. You know, we're in crazy times. We've got crazy weather patterns. We got crazy world changes. We have a lot of stuff rolling in our world, right? And if we don't keep centered in soul, centered in quiet, at least once or twice a day, you roll with that and you buy into it. And that's a disposition that you don't want to go into, because you know what? It's not healthy. You know, then your mind wanders, it goes crazy, or you get too crazy on things and you feel off. And your whole job as what I hear from spirit all the time, our only job is to keep ourselves whole, keep ourselves centered. You know, we get so discombobulated and think, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to, you know what I mean? The laundry list of things we got to do. And you know what? And then we can become so off and scattered. And you know what? That's where, you know, our earth is important. Our energy is important to ground with that. To, you know, that's why I love your book and the things that are going to come out on it, to show people the history of nature and how it was used for thousands and thousands of years and how we can learn from that. And we need to kind of get back into tune with those sources, don't we? Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, really why you had that calling to write something in such a dynamic fashion, because we need to regroup it back to people. Because I really feel like even when we have earth tragedy, like in California with the fires, and you know, we have the things happening in Texas with the hurricanes and different things that are going, people are so shocked today that that's happening. I want to say, why are you shocked? You know what I mean? This has happened forever, but it's how we need to really center down and understand what our past history was and why the winds happen and why all the rains and all the elements. We've been hit by all the elements in the past. We want to say like the last 4 or 5 months, I think, right? Mm-hmm. When you think about our earth changes. So you know what? Yes, and we're there's more to come.
Right.
It's not changing. It's escalating.
We have to slow our roll, because the winds are going to pick up and kick up and mm-hmm. So tell me what would be a good simple way, like when you go through the house and you tell these spirits to go, but say somebody's not as familiar with that, is how do I snap my fingers and say, Taba, enough with you, out? So is there a method that you could share with people that could help them?
Yeah, you know what I always say to people is that to clear your home, clear your energy of your home, you need to get a sage stick. Okay, you can get sage sticks at Whole Foods. I mean, that's how we've come in time, right? You know, you go to the grocery store and you can buy a white sage stick. Like, who would have thunk it? You know what I mean? All right. So, you know, you can go to Whole Foods and get a sage stick. You can go wherever and get one. So you just say your prayers. You say whatever faith you are. You just say your prayers. You call in your angels, your God, your Buddha, whatever you want to use. And you say, I'm going to clear my home for its highest and best good, to protect my home, to clear its space so it's all holy, it's safe, it's comfortable, it's blessed. And as you do that, you burn your sage stick and you go room to room with your sage all around the home. word of warning, it smells like pot. So, you know what? Do it when, you know, you're not having company over the right away, whatever. But you want to sage, and you want to sage your home, go room to room. After that's done, you burn a lavender candle. Now, the Native American Indians used to bless their land. What did they use? Lavender and sage. So our history is teaching us again, right? And clear your land, clear your space. And they used to do that to protect their lands. So you need to protect your land. You need to plant those plants around your property. You know, again, it's going old school, but it's bringing it to new school, right? So you're going to do all this into your home. And then as you do this, you know what? You light the lavender candle, and you close off with your blessing. And that's as simple as it is. It takes 10 minutes, not even. And as you do this, what happens is you'll find, okay, even in the sense if you've had an argument in your home, or an argument with your husband, or the kids have been snarky, or whatever that, you know, your home, you know, whatever happens in your home, what you'll do then is oftentimes is clear it. You'll bring your sage stick out to clear. You want to create the happiness, the wholeness, the love in your home. So with that, and if you feel that spirit's not leaving, it's as simple as this. Spirit cannot stay with you, or a spirit cannot, who, you know, is hanging out when they shouldn't. If you still continue to let them, you need to say then, out of my house, get out. You know what? You can't. And as soon as you do that, spirit leaves, because they know that they can't stay. So, you know what? Where I live on the East Coast, so I'm outside of Boston. There's a heck of a lot of old energy in where my town is 1646 when it was built. Okay, so you know we're talking old energy. You know, a lot of stuff going on. So a lot of Salem. I think all the witches were from my town, from the Salem witch trials. But there's just a lot of oldness. So it's like, you know what, energy of land holds stuff. It holds hurt. It holds a lot of anger, hate. You know, and you know, you have to be cautious sometimes of, you know, what feels right, what not. So it's important to clear our space where we are. You know, my children, my family, we go on vacation. I mean, we were in Ireland for vacation this summer, and, you know, leave it to the Sutliffs to find some of the most haunted castles we were staying in, not even knowing that's where we picked. All right. Everybody had their experiences, saw it, felt it. But it's important to teach children and people not to fear it, because that's the energy it wants to partake in. And so, you know what, you own your space. Like I said, they're not paying the mortgages on that land. You are there. And it's important to understand that it's real simple, but you can't let that type of space interfere with your living. And so I really choose in some ways that, you know what, it's not healthy. I went on one ghost hunt once before, and it was oh my gosh, I went on it and I was like, I can't do this stuff, because I was sending them all over to the other side. Like, you don't need to be here. You need to move into God's love. You need to transition into God's love. So I'm a horrible ghost hunter. I'm not good at it, because I don't want them to stay. I want you to leave. You're not meant to be here. So, you know, which is, you know, you got to remember, there was a lot of puritanical type of belief systems that people, if you looked at your neighbor the wrong way, you were going to go to hell. And you know what? So people, when they transitioned, they got stuck. They're in between the fields there, because you know what? They're afraid to go forward because they think they're going to hell. So that's where people often, friends of mine or whatever, will help in the transition of old energy or old souls that are stuck in places, because they need to be shown the light. And that's the gift that they use to work with it. You know, I'm just pretty simple, like, okay, you need to go over to the light, and that's it. You know what I mean? That's where you go. You know what I mean?
You're very practical that way.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but is there a time when spirits are supposed to be there? I was working with a client yesterday, and often I feel her mother around. And some of what I feel about with her mother around is that her mother wasn't necessarily always there when she was a child. Like, you know, there was nannies and other people, and her mother lingers around as a support, because she's so, I always feel like I don't know if she's in school for like learning where she might have missed a step as a parent, but that I feel like her support is always around. Is that
Yeah,
something real?
interesting. Yeah, it is real because you know what? I did a reading for a woman this morning. You know what? And she really didn't want to hear from her mom because you know what? It was a horrible upbringing. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to let, you know, it takes a lot of work for spirit to get through because their energy vibration is super high on the other side and ours is really low. And I have to meet it as the middle, as a conduit there. And so as I was reading for her, this mom was coming through and pretty horrible upbringing. But what I notice, and this is probably what you feel too or experienced, is when I connect, spirit always comes back with a love vibration. They don't come back as, you know, that raging alcoholic or that mean person with a stick or, you know, whatever abuses or non-emotional component they gave to a child or person. They come back with that high vibration of love energy because they want to make it right. And their messages come through to make it right so that they can show their love for that person. They can heal it. They come through apologetic. They come through in the aspects of you know, those dynamics because when they're on the other side, that's their job. They have to learn those lessons. They have to, and part of their job is to come back to heal the loved ones that have been here. And that's why it's so important that when you do receive a reading, to understand that, you know what, you get who you get, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's who's you're to receive. And it's an important piece because it really does truly heal the people that are here. And you know, it makes impact. And that's that's what people need to be open to because you know what, this veil of energy that we work in, it comes from that love vibration. It doesn't come from a nasty place. It doesn't come, I wouldn't do it if it came from a nasty place, nor would you, you know what I mean? And it has to come from that high vibration in order to heal people. Because truly, I really feel like psychic mediums, healers, shamans, we're all healers. It's just that the venue that we pick to work in our expertise. And that's the whole purpose of it.
And so is that what people will find up in your Listen Up, The Other Side is Talking book about people of you've worked with, how they've come through and how they've healed people? And I know they can get a chapter of it on your website. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So my book, Listen Up, The Other Side is Talking, is about, it's a book all about stories of people that I've read for. Talks about examples of readings. It talks about examples of my life of intuition of things that have occurred with me as a reader, what happens in the as a psychic medium, you know, world. But it also talks about, you know what, many history of psychic ability, you know what I mean, where it's gone in its history, where it is today. But it also dives into on how you can connect on your own. And that's an important piece. You don't need a medium to do it. You know, you're closer to your loved ones than I am. And you can, it shows you tools on how to do that. So, you know, and oftentimes our loved ones come through, and one of the most important chapters I feel in this book is how our loved ones come through and always give us signs and symbols. And they give us signs and symbols all the time. We just have to be quiet in order to receive them. And we have to send them the symbol to get the information, not them sending it to us. It's reverse. And so in my book, I call it the purple dinosaur theory. So it's, you know, if you want to hear from your mom or dad, I want to see a purple dinosaur today. Make your sign obscure to your loved one you want to connect it to. And as you start to, all of a sudden during your day, you're going to see the word Barney. You're going to hear the Barney song. You're going to go past an exit. It's a new dinosaur, you know, exhibit at the museum that's going to be out in November.
Or Dinosaur Barbecue Express.
Yeah, exactly. Dinosaur Barbecue. We love Dinosaur Barbecue. And so that's where this is like, okay, so all of that, but you have to be open to receive your signs, right? So as an example, I had a client of mine who was very, you know, I gave her that theory after I read for her, and she was in a real pickle with a lawsuit. I said, you know what, connect with your father to see if he's going to give you that sign, if you should go forward with this lawsuit. And so she's a nurse. She's coming home from work, and she says, I'm going to test Kelly's theory. I think she's crazy, but I'm going to test her theory. She's driving down the road. She goes, I want to see a pink car. So drives through, doesn't see any pink car. She sees a maroon car, close color. That's all. Goes to bed, and she's a nurse. So she wakes up the next morning because she's late shift. As she gets out of bed, she stumbles on her daughter's pink Barbie Jeep. So she goes forward with her lawsuit. She wins it. It goes forward. So Spirit has a sense of humor, always does. They always give us signs. We just have to be open to receive it. And that's an important component. And I talk a lot about that in my book and share those examples that, that's the medium. You're the conduit. Give your loved ones a sign so that they can come back through to you. But isn't like all of our work signs anyways? Look at the winds and the categories that you talk about in your book that, there's signs or symbols of what they mean. And you don't need deity. You don't need the church to show it to you. It's all around us. I mean, that's great if you do, but there's signs and symbols in everything. And that's the earth element. That's the signs and symbols that we need to receive as humans, as people, keeping us whole, keeping us grounded, and it makes us in a healthier space. It makes us happy. Everyone needs to get back into their happy.
Right. We need to be in our happy. So what is your website that people can go to and learn more about your work?
It's psychicmediumkelle.com, and Kelle is Kelle. And you can go on my website, you can book a reading, and you can also purchase my book there. My book is on Amazon, all the sites, Barnes & Noble, to receive the book. And I actually have a re-release that's coming out probably by spring of next year on Listen Up, the Other Side is Talking. So there'll be more stories, more intuitive hits that I've gotten from my guides to give out to the world. And so that's an exciting process too.
And I'll certainly be looking for the hits that you've gotten psychically. One thing that I want to say before we end is that Kelle and I have been, friends now for almost 7 or 8 years.
Easy, yes, since Pearls of Wisdom came out, yeah.
And, we don't agree upon everything. But what's really important, and the message that I wanted to get across in this Solstice AM Symposium, is that we don't have to see eye to eye with all of the other people that we love, because, but yet we still, we'd be having a disagreement about something, and then, a live disagreement, then we'd be texting each other. And how's your son doing at college?
Yes.
And that's such an important message for people to hear right now, that you don't have to agree with people to see the love and to bounce that love back with them about the things that really matter. You want to end with something on that?
I agree 100% that we have to remember we're all a collective.
Right.
We're all a collective. We're in the whole. We're not just in the I mode. Okay. Right. I mode is too selfish. Okay. Nothing good comes when you're selfish. We all know that. So when we come into the wholeness of the we, of where we are with a collective of our world and centering and keeping us in peace and keeping us, Mother Nature and God wants to keep us whole. They want to keep us in that space. And when we go off track, everything else goes off track. We become chaos. So as people, if we can control our own chaos and just accept others' views, opinions, you know what I mean? And say, hey, that's great. You know what I mean? We're all learning. But it doesn't define one way. That's that righteousness that everyone has to stay away from. And I feel that that's the openness that people need to receive and accept that you can be like that. You can't, everybody can be told, that old saying, you can't teach a dog new tricks. Well, guess what? We're all new dogs. Everybody can learn a new trick.
I love that.
And that's where, we need to remember that we're all in this together. No one's here by themselves doing it on their own.
Right.
And that's the piece that I hope that everyone gets from our little talk here, and for the work that we do and what we feel and see and what we do for others.
And everyone listen up, because the other side is talking, and you have to listen, and it might come to you as a wind in my book, Winds of Spirit, or in Kelle's book, Listen Up, the Other Side is Talking. And I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And for all those listeners who got upon this, you know, some way with a link, make sure you sign up at the imsymposium.com in order to receive all of the playbacks, all of the links, because like she just said, it's not an I, but coming together as a we, you're going to get the perspective of 21 different sages who live their life pretty much on life's terms and have a lot of information to share to you. So Kelle, I'm really grateful you're in my life and that.
Hey, me too. Love you, Renee.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Okay.